Common values, common goals, common sense. The Common Sense Podcast with Semi Bird.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for tuning in. I guess that's what you guys do, right? You tune in, but we're on Rumble, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. And if we're on something else, let me know. Twitter, I think. Did I say that? X? It's good to be with you. And as we always start, I want to start off by saying thank you to all of our supporters and give you an update. Last week was amazing. It's a blur because we're out there campaigning all over the state, but we started off last Saturday. We were in Snohomish County at the Snohomish County Convention. I think we brought a little fire there. I'm not sure. Snohomish, if you're tuning in, you guys will have to let me know. And thank you for that. And then we went to King County. And just when you think you can't bring enough, King County, you guys just tore the roof down. And thank you for that welcome. I was out there at our booth in the hallway there. And as I stood there just saying hi, people were asking questions, policy, just stopping by to say hi, give a fist bump, what have you. It was wonderful. It was beautiful. It was fellowship. So thank you for making me feel so welcome. And thank you for that amazing response to, I guess, me sharing my heart with you. You know, as all of you know, I don't do speeches. I don't do the written speech thing. I share my heart. I share what's on my mind, and we see what comes. And I think that's the purest form of sincerity. Give what you got. Do your best. And leave it up to the folks that you're with. It was amazing. And then we went from there and we went to the Lincoln Day Dinner in Kitsap, the Kitsap County Republican Lincoln Day Dinner. And I really want to say thank you to all of our supporters who made me feel so welcome at the Kitsap County Lincoln Day Dinner. Our supporters in Kitsap County, there's too many. I'm not going to do it. I want to say it. I want to say names, but there's too many. That's how much support we have across this state. Thank you. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your support. The next day, we went to church. We had a brunch meeting, which we packed this room at the Float, another Patriots establishment. We packed that room, and we had people standing room only, and that was amazing. In Monday, we went down to Lewis County. So I was gone from the family for a week, and my wife is just amazing. So shout out to my beautiful wife, my daughter Hannah, my oldest Kiva, my middle Kailani, and my grandchildren Javi and Sitlamina. I love you all very much. You're my reason for being, my reason for living, and praise be to God for my life. And for who I am, who you made me out to be. Blessed as it is. Okay. So we have a lot of questions. And so this podcast is to talk about the upcoming Washington State Republican Party Convention. It's coming up April 18th through the 20th. And so we have people tuning in online from those channels I mentioned earlier. We have a bunch of questions again. Thank you, everybody, for sending your questions in early, as I always do. This is live streaming, so you can't fake until you make it. You just do the best you can. And so we're going to have live questions off the message. We're going to have questions that we pulled off the printer. My honor, I don't read these. I don't study them. I bring them down as they are, and then we read them together. So if I'm messing up on reading these, it's just raw and organic. But we're going to talk about the convention, and I want to be as kind and diplomatic as I can, but straightforward and real with you guys. I am not a fan of anything that interferes with our election process. I'm an election integrity person. I understand the reason for doing a convention for the Republican Party, I believe, and I don't want to mess it up. So this is only Semi Bird's observations, which can be broken and wrong. So keep that in mind. I'm not afraid to be wrong. It was to bring everyone together. It's supposed to be grassroots. And those delegates that were elected at the county conventions and before at the precinct caucuses that are elected, selected, and then they're going to be going to Spokane for the convention. They are supposed to be the representation of the citizens of their counties, of their precincts. And I like the way that sounds. And the reason is to ensure that we have one candidate coming out of that convention to represent those citizens. And specifically in my position, because I'm a candidate for Washington State governor. And before they would say, well, we don't want to split the vote. We don't want to have too many Republicans running. And I knew in the 2020 election, we had 5 Republicans at the top of the ticket. And even being 5, we still had a Democrat and a Republican that advanced in that jungle primary, which is in August, to the general election. And it's been that way for elections. But somehow people keep thinking that there's going to be a vote splitting and somehow a Democrat's going to, so 2 Democrats are going to, and that's okay. Again, I don't want to judge, and I respect your philosophy, however it is. I just go by statistics and history. So we're supposed to choose one candidate that the delegates at the convention chooses to advance to the primary, and we're all going to get behind them and support them. And the party would endorse this candidate. That's what we're going to be voting on. That was my understanding. And so the Washington State Republican Party formed this rules committee, and they formed this candidate committee. And the candidate committee, I believe, put the package together, and they got the little background checks that they're going to do, and then they're going to do all the handling of the candidates and organize things. And I'm sure there's a lot more. I'm sure they're working really hard. And you have the rules committee. And during last year's process, I submitted all my paperwork. I submitted what they call a pledge, which says that if I'm not the person that the delegates choose to endorse, that I pledge that I would support the candidate that they do choose, so that we were all united around that candidate moving out of the convention and into the primary. And made sense to me, so I signed the pledge. And when I submitted the pledge and the paperwork to the candidate committee of the Washington State Republican Party, I sent it to the chair of that committee. I told them, I think I may have said, quote unquote, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. And the reason I said that was because I had no confidence whatsoever in the integrity of the process, none whatsoever. I knew who was on the rules committee. I knew who was on the candidate committee, the makeup, if you will, and they were not for Semi Bird from the very beginning. That's okay. You want to give grace, and you want to give them the benefit of the doubt, because it could be better. Maybe you're misreading it. Maybe you're misperceiving it. Give them a chance to show and to demonstrate that this is an honest process, that the state party does not have a thumb or a finger on the scale, that it's an honest process, and they're gonna be unbiased and fair to all candidates who put their name into the hat. And then they said, we want to collect all this paperwork. We want to have those pledges in by December. And then the date was moved, I believe, into the springtime, just before the convention. I believe the date is the 12th, right before the convention. And then it became optional whether to do a pledge or not. And then the other candidate who's running for office, Dave Reichert, and I say it with respect to Dave, and he deserves that. He deserves that. Dave says, well, he is not going to endorse anyone else that the delegates choose unless it's him. And he has that right. He has that right. He has not signed the pledge. And I respect that as well. That's his right to choose. And that's where we're at. But so much since last August, when all of my paperwork was in, and since I signed that pledge and submitted it, so much has changed. And many of you have seen so much that has happened. We saw the lines form. We saw the divide within the party. And I'm not the person that says, just because we disagree, you're bad, I'm good. Divide. I don't like the name calling stuff. I don't like personal attacks. I don't like character assassinations. I don't like that. I don't like it when people who support me do it. I've said that on social media. I've said that on my podcast. And you all know it because it's recorded, right? And so there's a history of this. So I don't like it on either side, but it's the reality. I also don't like silencing people by saying, let's unite the party, which can often be code for you constitutionalist, patriot people. You just get back in your cave and let us moderates, mainstreamers, whatever, we got this, right? We know what's best. And that's a problem for me, big time. That's another reason why I'm in this thing. And so those folks who are supporting that other side, supporting the other candidate through Restore Washington, those individuals, those leaders of the organization, well, they came after me, as you all know, and they brought up all their stuff going back 40 years, 30 years, 28 years. They brought my family in it. You know, this is all old news, but to some people, it may be new news. And at this point in time, as far as I'm concerned and my family is concerned, it's fine. It's okay. It's not okay, but it's okay because it is what it is. You acknowledge reality, you find solutions, and you make happen what you need to make happen. We don't become victims. We don't do blame. We make happen what we want to make happen. We stay on mission. We stay on point, and we accomplish what we set out to accomplish. That's just how I roll. It doesn't excuse what they do. I just say, well, we won't do that. But what they did was, this leader, one of them, submitted an email with all the hit pieces out to all of the state party chairwomen, all the state committeemen and committee women, saying, if you've endorsed Simi, if you supported Simi, we encourage you to pull that back. Cancel that out. You need to reconsider. And many of these chairs not only did that, well, they didn't unendorse yet. I haven't seen any. I thought it was going to happen. I thought it was going to happen nearby, but it hasn't happened yet. And then they sent it out to the delegates. Why do you think that is? Why do you think they sent this letter out with all these hit pieces, with half-truths, lies, slander? Interfering with elections, maybe? Moving the goalposts, changing the rules? Yes, 100%. But let me say this and be very clear. I don't care what they do. At this point, here's the deal. My friends, patriots, and anybody else listening to this podcast, when they get low, when they go dirty, whatever you want to call that, we stay focused on the mission. And let me once again urge people, don't call names, don't be nasty, do not do character assassinations, do not lower yourself to that standard. Do not. There is no value in calling someone a name, calling someone, you're a rhino. What does that mean to you? Specifically, what is the policy that you disagree with? Why don't you say that instead of saying rhino, rhino, rhino? I get it. I know it. I used to be a certified. I had my tags. I got it. But I advanced and I said, well, make clear what is the position that they hold or have had in the past that bothers you. Make a clear comparison without attacking someone. I think that serves you better. It serves the public better to understand what the point is that you're trying to make without calling names. And so I'm saying that to my supporters. You represent me better when you do it with class, when you do it in such a way that you're educating people, that you're emulating my campaign and what I stand for, which is unity. Not unity at the point of silencing other people. I like the diversity of thought, the diversity of perspectives, and the diversity of our citizenship. That's what I stand for, and I've been very upfront about that because that's America. I've reminded people about that. So let's keep it clean. Let's stay focused on mission. I wanted you to know what was happening. We are going to Spokane, April 18th to the 20th for that convention. We are going to win that convention. We are going to get the party endorsement, whether they want to give it to us or not. We are going to have the largest patriot gathering, the largest gathering of citizens who love Washington, who love America, the largest gathering of constitutionalists in the history of Washington state. That's what we're doing. That's why we're going. Fellowship in love of Washington, fellowship and love of America. That's why we're going to Spokane. And we will declare our love of country. That's what we're going to be doing. So I will see you there. But in the meantime, keep it strong, stay on point. And I understand what's happening in Pierce County, by the way. I understand that they blackballed me from their convention. They're not going to allow me to have a table. They refunded the money. And there's other shenanigans that's happening. And again, I'm not saying that out of blame. I'm acknowledging the reality of what's happening. Okay, fine. Done. It's your county, your rules. Do what you will. But for citizens who are paying attention, understand this. When they say, well, we're not going to do that because Semi wasn't endorsed by us, understand how they endorsed. But let me just go further, make it easier for people to understand. The Spokane Republican Party endorsed me. They invited Dave Reichert to speak. They invited Dave Reichert to have a table. They invited Dave Reichert to be present. He had other things, and that's fine. I completely fine. The same here. I have schedule conflicts myself. Totally get it. Snohomish, they endorsed me, but yet they invited Dave, and Dave made it. Other counties, Clark County, other counties have endorsed me, but they always invite Dave. He always has a table because why? That is the right thing to do. Just because you endorse a candidate, free and fair elections. Does that sound familiar? Is that called election integrity? I don't know, but that's my interpretation. And we can talk about in-person voting, and we probably will when I get to some of your questions. I'm not even looking at the questions over here. I know what I have here, having looked at them yet, but I know I got my stack. But I want to give you an update on what's going on with this convention, and you can ask me questions. If there's something that I miss, you can ask. And I'm going to grab my phone every now and then because I told my team if there's a question that is being asked and I miss it, send me a text. And so if there's questions, it's going to come in here. So I've got just because you guys will just ask a ton. And I don't want to miss anybody. There's probably something else I'm missing. Oh, I know what I'm missing. We need to make sure that we register. If you are a delegate that's going to the state convention in Spokane, you need to register before the end of this weekend. March 18th is the cutoff. Don't wait until then. And don't just take my word for it. You can go to the Washington State Republican Party's website, and you can just Google that, and you'll find them. Look for their logo. It's a little green flag, or a little green state. They'll put it out, all the things. You click on, I think it's events, and you can see the convention. It's a big deal. Make sure you get registered because I don't want delegates supporting Byrd for governor to not get their stuff in on time because, trust me, there are probably people looking for you not to show up. So no matter what, you need a tow truck, give us a call. We'll find a way to get your fannies to Spokane. We need your vote. We need your support. You don't want to miss this gathering. Okay, there's probably more I'm missing, but we're going to get there. And thank you, all of my friends who have logged in. Thank you, and thank you again. I appreciate you so much. We're going to stay positive, and we're going to keep it coming. Okay, we're going to go to questions. I'll start over here, and then we're going to go over here to what we're seeing on the feed. First question here, this is from Lynette. She says, I do have concerns about in 2019, you attended and spoke at the Tri-Cities Diversity Summit. That is very true. My concern is the way DEI is being used today. Do you have a statement on your views of DEI being used in training and hiring practices? Oh, I love it. Lynette, thank you so much for asking that question. And so that question, well, I guess maybe there's a couple. There is actually another question. I won't miss it, Lynette. So the group, those individuals I mentioned, I'm not going to do names anymore because I don't want to lift people's narcissistic personalities off the ground too much. One of the things that folks attacked me on was that I lectured on diversity and inclusion, not equity, not DEI as we know it. And the lecture was titled, and you can see it, and this is to the quote, I'm sure, Diversity and Inclusion, Generations, Cultures, and Perspectives. Why do you think that is? In the workplace. Has anybody ever worked for a company? Has anybody ever worked for a company? Have you noticed that we have different age groups there? Have you noticed that we have young people coming in, and the older people refer to them as entitled? They get to the company, they want their promotion, they're looking for their parking places, their corner office. At least that's the perspective of some of the tenured senior staff for some of the younger people. And the younger people are looking at them and they're going, you don't know what a computer is, let alone a tablet, let alone software, let alone, I'm being silly, but you get my gist, technology. Younger people tend to be more social. Older people tend to be more actionary. Or you get my point. This is my specialty, behavioral scientist, business consultant. And there are different cultures that are engaged in the workplace. And for Lynette, on that summit, you can actually Google the Tri-Cities 2019 Diversity Summit, and you'll see this guy do a video. And I talk about the value of what I lectured on. It supports employee satisfaction, employee sustainability, work performance improvement, bottom line, more profitable companies, because when employees work better together, what happens? They work more efficiently. When employees work more efficiently, companies do better and make more money. I don't think I need to go on too much further, but here's the bottom line. My version of diversity and inclusion, never, ever have I ever used the word equity in diversity and inclusion in any of my lectures or any of my courses. Never. Because it wasn't a thing for me. You know why? Because I do not support quotas. I do not support affirmative action quotas. You hire people based on their merit. It's called America. It's called meritocracy. I wrote something called A Meritocracy, which goes in depth. Oh, by the way, here's something else I did. We made national news when I brought forth a motion to ensure that we don't teach critical race theory in our schools. We teach civics and truth in history. I did that. We did that on the school board. So take that into consideration before you, not you, Lynette, because I know you were asking innocently, you just wanted to get information, but before people buy off on the lies that are being put out there, I don't support DEI, never have. Senate Bill 5044, I want to repeal that as soon as I get into office because it's divisive. You teach black or brown people that there's something wrong with them, that their color determines their outcome in life, that's wrong and it's racist. You teach white children that they are somehow linked to slavery, that's wrong and that's racist. You're dividing us. I wonder why. I wonder why you stopped teaching civics in school. I mean, I don't want to guess. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I just know the facts. So, no, I don't support it. I do support diversity. They don't own that word, people. Wake the heck up. The word's been around for a long, long time in the dictionary. Look it up. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with being different colors or different religions or different. That's just how we are. Okay. And then what is your plan for election integrity? I'm glad I mentioned it. I will be writing an election integrity bill before I get into office. I will share that bill with the general public of Washington State before I hand it off to the legislature. Article 3 of the Washington State Constitution allows me, the governor, the right to write and propose legislature. I want the people to see it first, and then I will submit it to the legislature. And then they will have a choice to submit to the people their argument for not supporting election integrity when both sides of the aisle and in between support election integrity statistically. Lynette, I hope I answered your questions, and if there's any other questions out here related to that, boy, I look forward to your questions. And so I'm going to grab my screen. One of these days, we're going to be more efficient on this. Maybe I'll get a helper to help me keep track of questions. I'm just going to go back and see if I missed anybody. I see all my friends saying hello, and I saw a question mark, which is my trigger to look for a question. Let's see here. The people want one day in-person voting and no machines. Why aren't you supporting this? Well, Bonnie Jean, I do support that. So let's go on the record, and that it will be part of my election integrity bill. And hey, guess what? So that you know I'm not just pandering to you because we just met each other, and it's nice to meet you, Bonnie Jean. I've been saying this on the campaign trail. If anybody who's heard my speeches or presentations, would you please maybe comment and help Bonnie Jean understand that, yes, this is something Simi has been saying. And let me go a step further. I will propose a voting holiday. So not only will we vote in person, voter ID, get rid of the ERIC system, wipe our voter rolls on a continuous basis, that's election integrity. So, Bonnie Jean, I want to make sure I answered your question. So, in-person voting, check. No machines, check. And by the way, chain of custody of the ballots and forensic audits with transparency to the citizens, check, check, and check. Bonnie Jean, if I missed anything, my friend, my new friend, please let me know. I'm a fan of election integrity. You can ask Captain K. Seth Keshel, he'll tell you. And tell him I said hi when you do talk to him. Let's see here. We're going to go down the line. So we did Bonnie Jean. I'm going to go over here to another question. This one comes from Kent. Would you allow local school districts to ban, restrict, or remove books from the library? Well, it's not up to me. Here's what I do support. And this is as governor. I'll answer the question also personally so that you get the full picture. I don't do talking points. I want you to know me as a person, and then I want you to know me as a governor. As a governor, Constitution. The Constitution of Washington State and the Constitution of the United States of America are my foundation of governance. So if it's not in the Constitution, it's not in the Constitution. And I will never support or sign a law that goes in countervention or against the Constitution of Washington State or the United States of America, period. I'm sure there's more to it. Local control is what I support, which means that citizens have more control of their school districts because they elect school board directors. And if the citizens say that they want this, then those school board directors should have the authority to advocate for those constituents. 28 Alpha.150.230 is the RCW that talks about what I'm saying. It talks about curriculum. It says at the very top, those school board directors are responsible for the outcomes of those school districts and that they are accountable to their constituents. Bottom line, I do think we need laws to give more local control to the citizens because those characteristics that are unique within different counties, within unique communities, should be respected. Now, my personal opinion, and I will also I'm going to add professional. There should not be pornography in children's libraries, but I'm not a book banner or a book burner. Academics, education, academic excellence, educational excellence. That's what I support. Age appropriate. Constitution. So First Amendment, it's in the Constitution. Protecting the innocence of our children, that is something that is near and dear to my heart. Parents' rights, near and dear to my heart. And as governor, I will ensure that I honor parents' rights in education and parents as the primary stakeholders in their children's upbringing. Ken, I hope I answered your question with even more specifics than you asked. I'm going to go over here to the left and make sure I didn't see any questions over here. Let's see here. You guys have a lot going on here. Bear with me. You guys are having a good conversation. Okay. Semi, there's a question. Thank you, Nick. I appreciate that. Nick threw questions up before. Oh, Nick, you rock. Nick's like, you're not missing me, brother. Okay, Nick, no, I didn't because you did. Semi, what are your views on the ban on natural gas? Nick, they're out of their minds. They're out of their minds. The answer would have been, if I was in office, not only no, but heck no. On the I-5 corridor, because this is right now how this is applying. It's on the west side of the state, but it's only a matter of time where it spreads across the entire state. Mark my words. They will ban anything that emits this much carbon. Just weeks ago, during a cold snap, you had Puget Sound Energy sending out text messages. Now, these were sent to me. I don't live over there, but I received numerous emails and messages. Send me, look at these screenshots. They're sending these out, asking us not to use as much electricity because of the strain on the power grid. And my friends, I've been warning everybody about our compromised electrical grid in Washington State. It's not just our state, it's national, but I'm concerned with Washington State. They're asking us not to use electricity because of the strain on the electrical grid for heating. But yet, one of the key alternative heating sources is natural gas. I remember when we had this wonderful wood-burning fireplace and we built another house and we wanted a wood-burning fireplace. We thought it was cool. We liked the smell of wood burning. And they said, no, that it doesn't work. It doesn't match the... And we said, okay, and we got our heads around it. And we said, okay, natural gas, which burns clean. And they said no. And now they're saying no to that. They're losing their minds. Nick, I hope I answered your question. I do not support it. And you're very welcome, Bonnie Jean. You're very welcome. Thank you for asking your question. Nick, I don't support it. And this Climate Commitment Act that is raising our gas prices, our diesel prices, and now after the fact, they're coming back and they're saying, well, we need to pass a law to say we're going to give rebates. We're going to give rebates to those farmers and to those drivers, those over-the-road drivers who are being buried by these crazy gas prices, diesel mostly. Because they were supposed to. It was only supposed to be pennies in the dollar, if not lower, quote unquote, from the governor. Supposed to. We have had so many supposed tos. Supposed to with the mini houses. Housing before addiction treatment was supposed to work. Billions of dollars later, and they're still quadrupling down on that nonsense. It must be addiction and mental health treatment based housing. If that makes any sense, people. The last thing you're thinking about when you're addicted to drugs, when you're shooting up with a combination of horse tranquilizer and fentanyl because it gives you a better high, but yet your body parts are falling off and you don't care. Do you think you really care about a roof over your head? I know I've been out in the streets. Jonathan Cho knows we ran into each other, and not because I set up a photo op either. I say that again. Not because I set up a photo op. I was out there. That's right. So there's a little difference in the candidates that are running for office. Thank you, Nick, for the natural gas question. I'm going to scroll down, but I'm going to take a question over here. We have Vance. On your website, you say you want to make Schedule 1 drugs a felony. Again, do you mean you want to make marijuana illegal in Washington State again? No, it's not a Schedule 1 drug. What I said specifically under law and order, I believe, Vance, and correct me if I'm wrong, I mentioned fentanyl, I'm pretty sure, and I want to make that a Class A felony with a mandatory minimum. But marijuana was not on my radar. I was specifically speaking to the out-of-control fentanyl crisis that we have right now in Washington State that's killing, well, the majority of all deaths. 18 to 45, fentanyl. Open borders. South, north, port. Open borders. And we don't even have the infrastructure right now. And we're not enforcing our laws. We are just now thankful to the 6 initiatives, 3 that became law. Now we have police pursuit. Now we're not going to have these crazy income taxes. And now we're going to at least value a portion of parents' rights with notification and a little bit of transparency. 3 more to go that are going to be in the ballot in November. And I'll keep reminding people of this as we get closer. I promise you that. But we have a long way to go. And this is why we need a career American in that office and not another career politician. The time for pandering and playing footsie it's over. It's over. And we're going to talk about that before I close my big mouth for the day. So I'm going to look over here to the left. And Vance, I hope I answered your question. And folks, if I missed your question, please type it in again, because that's not my intent. Do what Nick did. Put questions before an answer. That was ingenious. Let's see here. We have... lost connection. Did you speak about the assault weapons ban? Ty, no. Now is a good chance. Article 1, Section 24, that's Washington State's equivalency to the Second Amendment. Last year, they passed an assault weapons ban, mag capacity ban. We're in the ninth circuit, federal circuit court. Judge Benavides in California ruled it's unconstitutional. We now have a constitutional basis to say it's unconstitutional. Even before Judge Benavides' ruling, it was unconstitutional. You have the Article 6 of the United States Constitution, which is the Supremacy Clause, which says any law that is passed that runs in countervention of our United States Constitution is therefore unlawful. Well, this is a violation of the Second Amendment. Therefore, it's unlawful. But yet in Washington State, you have an administration that does not respect, in my opinion, constitutional rights of citizens. So I am a constitutionalist. Second Amendment matters. Article 1, Section 24 gives us more rights than the Second Amendment of the United States Constitution. And by the way, just in case people aren't paying attention, Article 1, Section 2 says that the United States Constitution is the supreme law of the land. So I hope I answered your question, my friend. And I'm going to go back over here to a question, and then I'm going to go back over there for a question. So I want to keep it. Oh, watch this, you guys. Watch this play in words. I'm going to keep it equitable. I'm not going to mention the D in the other word. Sorry, I couldn't resist. I really was going to become a smart butt, but I'm not. Denise, let's see what you have. How will Simi make these judges and prosecutors hold the criminals accountable? So, Denise, great question. If you go to birdforgovernor.com, look at my solutions with actions under law and order. I think it's at the very top because it's a top priority. I speak to this. Prosecutors and judges, I will create what I call a judicial watch. And in that judicial watch, it'll be an assessment. You have this concept called prosecutorial discretion for prosecutors, where they have the discretion by law to say whether they're going to prosecute a case or not. Judges have the judicial discretion and how they will preside over a case. They have that discretion by law. But they're, in my opinion, abusing their oath of office, which should be primarily to the Constitution and the rule of law, to enforce our laws. They're not. They're deferring to more social justice instead of justice at the cost of public safety, lives. People are dying because of it. Rape is up 51%, property crime is up 73%, murder is up 95%. We're number 3 in the nation for auto theft. Ferguson sues the automakers for making cars too easy to steal. Insurance prices are going through the roof because of the aforementioned. Are we number 1 in the nation for retail crime yet? We're right there. It's obscene. So we are going to put a score. If your public safety score is low, well, whatever your score is, if it's good, we're going to put it out there. And so voters, because these are elected positions, voters will see how you're performing because they don't pay attention until it's election time. So those numbers will be posted transparently so people will see your public safety score. We're watching. And then there's the other thing. DeSantis did it in Florida. We will look for the legal precedents. If not, we will look for a legal basis to have you removed when you are costing the lives of citizens. So I hope I answered your question, Denise. I think I was very bold and I think I was very direct specifically to your question, but I'm not just giving you a talking point. I'm going specific. And I'm not just going specific because you asked it here. It's already on my website under solutions with actions. My friends, I don't do talking points. I like chasing the rabbit down the hole and then going down the tunnel in the hole. Either you know or you don't know. I'm applying for a job. I hope you look at the resume and I hope you listen. I hope you look at my qualifications. Not so much in the lies, slander, and vitriol that's out there. But am I qualified to do the job? Do you believe that I will do a good job as the next governor of Washington State? Or are you just going to elect another heavily funded career politician with name, brand, and recognition? You have a choice. Do you want to get stuff done or do you want more of the same? That's your choice. And I say that with respect. There's no cheap shots there. It's the talking points from the individuals themselves. So I'm just perhaps campaigning for them. Okay. The governor has appointed approximately 75% or more of judges. Yes, understand that. Raising questions to me too. with thousands of lawyers. Okay, I gotcha, Denise. I'm with you, my sister. So, and what Denise is probably alluding to, but maybe not, but just being fair for the other questions, the governor can appoint judges in interim. If someone retires, if someone dies, passes away, or resigns, the governor can appoint, specifically in the Supreme Court as well. Those are the cases. And there's also a little hanky-panky that happens in government where you'll have the political move. Republicans do it just like Democrats. And you've all heard me say that. I don't play that. I mean, yes, I've been a Republican my entire life. Abolition, ending slavery, civil rights, women's rights, parents' rights. That's my thing. All those are my thing, by the way. That's why I became a Republican. But since running for governor, I realized the blinders are off. We've been getting played for fools by both sides of the aisle. I'm not an establishment candidate. You can't buy me. You don't own me. And perhaps that's why they're doing everything they can to take me off the ballot and eliminate me. But my wife says, go get him. So the more you come after me, guess what? The more I want to go get him. So that's okay. Keep on keeping on. I appreciate the motivation and inspiration. It's working. So I'll be working 7 days this week instead of 5 and 6. Let's go over here. Give some love to my friends who tuned in. Let's see. We got. I'm going to go back. DRM. If I missed anybody above. Oh, we got one above. David. Excuse me. Oh, we got to go higher. So Barbara has an ask, and Bonnie Jean, I know you asked, and I'm with you. So, we've got Barbara. Washington State Ferry System support, 100%. And this is from Barbara. Barbara, thank you for that. Tens of thousands of people commute on the ferries every single day. We have people driving to work. We have people driving for tourism, hauling goods. The ferry system's a big deal. This administration shut down the ferry system first with their shutdowns. And it's important to know the difference between candidates. Semi Bird is not the Republican candidate that ever supported the mandates. It wasn't me. Nor would I ever have the audacity to write an article in support of mandates. Nor would I ever praise Jay Inslee or Bob Ferguson for how they, specifically Jay, handled the mandates. Never. People died. People's jobs were wiped away. People lost their livelihoods and their lives, and children's lives were adversely affected. Our places of worship. I know. I had 2 businesses going, and I took some big hits. I would never support that again, ever. It was wrong. The ferry system suffered because of that. I'm keeping an eye on time. The ferry system. First, human resources. The vaccinations, mandatory vaccinations. We decimated our staff. Either you get vaxxed or you're done. And then many people left because they said, you're going to give a waiver for an untested, a non-approved, FDA-approved drug, and you're going to give them a waiver, but you're going to say take it or lose your livelihood? I'll choose life. And they did. And then you went to this nonsense about electric ferries at 2 to 3 times the amount. Meanwhile, our fleet is decimated. We're down at least 5 boats, at least. And they're holding out for electric boats. Yeah, no, not this governor. So we are going to immediately go back to hydro, right? We're going to go back to maritime diesel. We're going to get the best bids on boats. And we're going to plus up our ferry system. It used to be the best in the nation. Our Washington State ferry system was the best in the nation. And within a short period of time of us being elected to office, it will be the best in the nation again. So relief is coming because we're going to need them. Our tourism is going to go off the charts too, by the way. So will our economy and our business. So we're going to need people on those boats for multiple reasons once we get elected. So, Barbara, I hope I answered your question. Thank you for asking. I'm going to stay over here. I'm going to go down, and I see a question mark, and this is from David. Would you be able to appeal the Washington gun laws, Bob and Jay? So, David, we spoke about this earlier, but you asked it differently than the other gentleman. And if you could, would you? So we can't by law, But by law, under Article 3 of our Constitution, I can't propose legislation. And that is the only way to do it. Well, no, it's not. No, it is not the only way to do it. So there's another way, which actually, I don't want to be too feisty. But again, as a strong constitutionalist, those laws are unconstitutional. They shouldn't even be there. And by the way, gun violence, it's not guns that kill people, it's people that kill people. And the American Psychological Association has done studies on this. Sociological, psychological, those are the drivers behind it. Right? We don't take cars off the road because people get drunk and drive and kill people, right? I mean, I can go on and on with examples of this. They're unconstitutional. I gave those reasons. So could we not, because they are already unconstitutional under Article 6 of the United States Constitution, just say no and then sue? If there's laws in the books that are causing harm, let's just say Senate Bill 5599, that supports the kidnapping of children and having them transition into a different gender without their parents' permission, say something like that, that I think is woefully wrong. Yeah, maybe we should not wait for a process. Maybe we should just go right to the Supreme Court. I'm just saying there will be a process. I will make sure I get good legal advice, but I do know we can do that. But I would prefer to do the process, which is to take it through legislature. So I hope I answered your question, David, and I appreciate you asking that. So we're going to go back over here. This is from Gay. If, when elected, thank you, would you support establishment of state-funded institutions for care of those who are mentally challenged? Yes, and have options for care either with family or self-care and other medical coverage. So yes, we're in a mental health crisis. I've written on this too. It's on birdforgovernor.com. Mental health and addiction. It'll be under that, solutions with actions, what I'm going to do. I acknowledge the fact that we, again, our infrastructure is lacking. We don't have the mental health infrastructure. We have approximately 1,250 beds. That includes the new acquisition that was just made within the last 6 months on the west side. We have Eastern State Hospital, Western State Hospital. Western State Hospital lost their federal certification and lost approximately $53 million of federal funding with it because they could not follow the rules of, well, health, welfare, and quality. We need to reinvest in our mental health infrastructure. We have approximately 44% of adults who didn't get the mental health care they needed. Young people, ages 17 to 23, didn't get about the same percentage rate. We created a nightmare when they shut down our state and isolated. We had some of the highest suicide rates among children. And again, in the schools, behavioral issues. Some of you are parents and grandparents. You know what I'm talking about. Teachers are dealing with all kinds of messes in the classrooms. Behavioral issues because of this shutdown, these mandates. And I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole. But as a behavioral scientist and just a person of common sense, but as a scientist, no, we don't have the infrastructure to support the needs of this state. So we must reinvest in our mental health infrastructure. And the good news is we don't have to raise taxes to do it because they're already taxing us to death as it is. We just need to perform more efficiently and effectively, which is why, again, you've heard me say it over and over again, but it's worth it because we have new followers, new friends. I will be calling for a third-party audit of all state programs and all state offices, and we will save billions of dollars in a short period of time because of the wasteful spending and the ineffectiveness and inefficiency of our state government. Our governor doubled the budget in just 10 years. It's now $70+ billion. I want to say 72 point something, $73 billion. That's ridiculous. There's no need for it. Where's the marijuana tax money? Where's the, speaking of marijuana, where's the gambling tax money? Where's the liquor tax money? We have the highest liquor tax in the nation. I know I'm missing more. It goes into a general fund and no one knows where it goes. So yes, we will reinvest in that because it's a crisis. And there's two statutes, two RCWs that regulate. One is for the criminally insane, as you would call them, or those who have mental health crisis or issues and they commit crimes. And the others are for people whose families find that they need help and support because they cannot live on their own. They're a danger to themselves or to others, or they just cannot live on their own. And they haven't committed any crime, they haven't harmed anyone, but they need that. Right now, what our state's doing, whether you know this or not, they are taking those individuals who have not committed crimes. They're taking the ones who have committed crimes, and they're using all of our state mental health facilities for the ones, they call it forensic mental health care. They're using our state facilities for them, and they're moving the other ones into assisted living, nursing homes. Keep an eye on that. Where's mom and dad? So, Gay, I hope I answered your question. There's going to be something in here I have not researched yet. I did learn something about colleges just last week in Lewis County, and thank you for my friends for bringing it up. I love learning. So, yes, we need a lot of help there. Let's go over to the left, and let's see what we have here. We did David. DRM. Can you, as governor, do anything to rein in, the insurance rates, home, auto, oh, gosh. So, the regulation and the over-regulation, well, first of all, in terms of auto, all that is based on risk. I was actually on a Wonderful Man show, Josh, Attorney Brumley's show. He has a podcast, and there's a lot on that. It's based on risk assessment, and insurance companies, I don't want to get in the weeds on this, but they base much of their processing, their rates on risk. Washington State has a high risk because of crime, retail, auto theft. It all correlates to higher risk categories for insurance. So that's why we have to get a rein on our crime in Washington State. And it's not as hard to do if you have a strategic plan to do it. And I do. And it's been published. And I'm going to do an addendum to that because it's going to get even bolder. So yes. And then there's the regulation. We should be able to shop anywhere we want to, and we should be able to deregulate so that insurance companies don't have to raise costs because of regulation. So there should be a quid pro quo to that, which means, well, then if we're deregulating, we expect costs and rates to go down. So without going, again, down the rabbit hole, there are things that I'm tracking that we can do to lower insurance rates for citizens of Washington State, along with getting our crime down. And I want to say eliminated, because you set a standard high, you set a vision high, and then you create a strategic plan to how to get there. That's something that's missing in our state. Leadership, strategy, planning, and execution with precision. Something we do in special forces, because lives are on the line. So you can't play games. It's not talk, right? Fact and nonverbal deeds, not words. I just have a big mouth, so yes, I do talk a lot. Kelly, one of the most controversial things done by Jay Inslee was to push for sex education in elementary schools. Will you, as governor, attempt to promote or repeal? Yeah, so I don't support comprehensive sex education. I support sex education, age appropriate. What they're bringing in, it's in elementary schools, and it's wrong. You desensitize children psychologically to sex. Social media does that to sex, so that when you desensitize them, it becomes normal. You normalize sex at a young age. You will find promiscuity and teen pregnancy continue to rise in our nation because of nonsense like this. So protecting the innocence of children is important. And let me ask you, I don't want to be a smart aleck, but I do have a sense of humor, and this is nothing to laugh about. But should we not be focused on English, language arts, math, science, trades, mentorship programs in middle school, trades in high school, 9th grade junior apprenticeship program with summertime on-the-job training, furthering towards graduation? When they graduate high school, they have a full-time job making good money in a trade with maybe follow-on training. Does that make sense? So why are we focusing on teaching children sex? I mean, I get it. Preventive, educate so you can avoid. I get that, and I'm for that, age appropriate. But should we not be focusing on educational excellence? What is the purpose for schools? Why are we bringing in all these teacher union sponsored ideology in our school system? But yet, when it comes to English and language arts, only 50.9% of students are meeting grade level standards in English and language arts. 37.9% of students are meeting grade level standards in math, and only 42.7% are meeting grade level science levels in science. And we're graduating them at an 83% to an 85% rate. And we're paying $19,000 if you round up from $18,299 or whatever it is right now. It's ridiculous. So we're failing the kids academically, but we want to talk about sex. We want to talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion and race, and not civics, which is part of our history. I mean, it doesn't make sense because it doesn't make sense. So, Kelly, there's my answer. Will you promote the idea that parents have the primary? Yes, I did. Kelly, thank you for asking. Once again, parents are the primary stakeholders in their children's upbringing and in their children's education. And statistically and empirically, oh my goodness, I got 5 minutes. It goes by so fast, and I appreciate you so much. I hope I'm not boring you. I hope you get something out of this. I hope you get to know me. Friends, this is the whole reason I do this, so that you get to know me. I would love to do a debate, but the other gentleman doesn't want to debate. He says I'm non-viable. I'm not credible, whatever they want to say. That's okay. I want you to get to know me. I'm not shy for questions. You can ask about dirt. You can ask about anything. I am transparent because don't you want that in your elected officials? Don't you want to know how they think, how they process things? Do they know or do they not know? I'm applying for a job. You are my potential employers. You are interviewing me right now. That's what this whole thing's about. So this is my way. I'm the first gubernatorial candidate ever to have a podcast. Did you know that? Again, there's more than one way to make history in Washington State. We got another one coming up. Stay tuned. So yes, 100% to that. Parents' rights, near and dear to my heart. And thank you for your question, and thank you for submitting it. Let's see here. I see red flag replying. Let's see. Oh, someone's replying to Gina. Oh my God, did you hear Bill Gates donated to Dave's previous campaigns? Okay, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, but it's okay. It's okay. It's all right. You guys do your thing. And I'm just going to scroll because if I miss you guys, you just got to answer again. Lottery. We talked about lottery money. Where's that money going? Yep. Let's see here. Schools want to keep levies. Yeah. Hey, you know what? I think it was 3 out of 5 bonds did not pass in Washington State. And that has a lot to do with low confidence in our school system. And by the way, I'm partnering with teachers across the state. We're holding what we call Six Sigma Kaizen events. My goal is to give teachers back their classrooms so that they can teach the fundamentals of education and not these ideological separations and divisions. We get back to the basics. And we have something from the chief here. Local jails, little more than holding facilities, no. And by the way, Chief, and thank you for being on. I'm honored. And by the way, our infrastructure for corrections, there's so much. One of these days, I'm going to bring forward some of my own questions and solutions on corrections. And there's some subject matter experts that are out there that know what needs to be done and will be a very, very strong source in the future and for our future of Washington State. We need to build that infrastructure up. No more catch and release. We have to knock that stuff off. And I'm just looking down, see what else we have. Guys, again, if I miss you, I apologize. I know we're running out of time. And I just enjoy being with you. What are you going to do about parental rights? We talked about that. What about the schools, what's being taught? I think we talked about that. Megan, thank you. I want to say thank you for caring about our children, but you're probably a mom or a grandmom, so it's like, well, duh, Simi, of course I care. No, I'm with you. I'm with you. Let's see what we have here. Talon, I know you're here. Thank you. D, my friends, so much. Gina was here. Kyle, thank you. Kyle, L&I rates are outlandish. Yes. Labor and industries. What about the deregulating of them? So, Kyle, so this is, boy, don't get me fired up. Kyle does that to me. And you know what? Employment, payroll, taxes, employment security. We do quarterlies. A small business owner back in the past, before running for office. I'm an entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur, if you will. Businesses are overregulated. Our small businesses make up to 50.7% of all employees of this state, all people employed, are employed by small business owners. We need to deregulate. We need to de-weaponize organizations that have been weaponized against them. Labor and industries during the shutdown were weaponized against our small business owners. Again, it's not to say anything bad about our state workers. Love you, and I appreciate your service to our state. But the governor, as the chief executive officer, must understand that our offices, our state offices, are there to serve the citizens of our state, not to be used against them. The Constitution is here to protect our citizens from government, not the other way around. Self-governance must prevail. This is a constitutional republic. Self-governance is that means by which we, the people, come together, stand together, united to preserve our civil liberties and our constitutional rights. We elect leaders who understand this, who talk about this openly, and we say we support those rights, regardless of your race, creed, color. We support all citizens and their value and their rights, and this is what we're bringing to the table. So I'm going over for a couple minutes, and Kyle, I appreciate that. Guys, we're running out of time. I wish we had more, but I'm sure I've gone longer than I should. I want you to understand again, because we have new folks tuning in. If there's a difference between me and others, if I didn't have to claim this party or that party, I would claim the Constitution. I would claim the American party or no party. You know, President Washington warned us about this party partisanship. He says we should cling to our national unity. We should be coming together as Americans, as citizens, united. That's what we should be. We should not be seeing a D or an R and going, nope, no, you're dead to me. Nope, won't talk to you. Won't listen to you. I had one of my dearest friends I've known for decades. I love her, Stacy. I won't say her last name. Boy, we go back. And without getting emotional, I love her in my heart. I don't want to label her as a Democrat, but Stacy's left of me. And we don't agree on things, but she is my dearest friend. And I would defend her. I would die for her. She is my dearest friend. And I don't hesitate on that. I have family who are Democrats. And they're my family, my blood. I love them with all of my heart, and I would die for them in a New York second. So you get my point. Why are we dividing over party? We're only playing into the elitist hands, those establishment individuals who look down upon us, those ones who deem us non-viable, those ones who look at us and go, oh, no, we know better than you do. We know better than you do. We know who your candidate should be. It should be the candidate who gets all the money from us. It should be the candidate who has all that. No. It should be the candidate that we, the people, choose. That's who should be. And that's why we have a primary. I get fired up about this, guys, but I do it with love. We are running for something. I am running to bring back our American values, to acknowledge and understand the works of Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., one of our great American heroes, who saved the soul of our nation, to help us understand equality of opportunity, not equity of outcome. That was Dr. King. And people could say, well, this man had flaws. Well, Semi's got flaws. Everybody's got flaws. This is life. We're humans. I don't want a Petri dish Manchurian candidate. I want a candidate of the people, by the people, for the people. That's what I want. I want someone who knows life. I want someone who's fallen and gotten back up. I want someone who's learned from their mistakes. I want a human being who understands what it's like to struggle, who knows what it's like to navigate adversity. I know someone who's been in my position. I know a lot of someone's who have fallen down. And I don't step on them. I lift them up. We used to call that human decency. We don't cover up inhuman behavior and call it politics. So folks, let's get our heads on right. Let's get back to civility, human decency. Let's figure out the fact that we should be coming together and uniting as citizens of this great state. And let's look for solutions with actions. We have a lot of work to do. We don't have time for dividing. I don't care whether you're a Democrat, a Martian, or a Republican. I care that you want to work with me to help make Washington great again. That's what I care about. Let's do it. I'm going to bring up my website, and I would appreciate it if you would go to birdforgovernor.com, click that donate button, give what you can. The max per person is $2,400. Again, I'm not the candidate who expects you to give $2,400. We have people who can afford to. Not like the other folks, but we will take what we can get. $5. I'll take $1 in you. I'll take 10 cents in you. I'll take nothing in you. Your vote matters. And we're going to make sure your vote matters. Trust me, more to come on that. But don't give up. Don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on one another. And don't give up on America. Don't give up on Washington State. God bless you, everybody. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Oh, my goodness. You guys are beautiful. I appreciate you encouraging me, you supporting me. I appreciate all that you've done. My family appreciates you. When we find ourselves in the darkness, we bring the light. When we find ourselves surrounded by hate, we bring love. That's what this campaign stands for. That's what Americans do. God bless you.